Listen, this has picked up some steam here. All right, this has been the rumor that's been going on, some flirtatious activity and behavior. I don't know if you guys were aware of this, but Sean Payton would like to get back into coaching.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's been doing some studio work with Fox. He's been really good. He's been making the rounds on Fox.
He has been really good.
Yeah, he's outstanding. And apparently things are heating up because it's now the Cardinals, the Texans, and the Broncos have all received permission to talk with Sean Payton. So he's got a lot of teams out there that are looking around for his services. And in my mind, it's all a bunch of crap. I think he's waiting for the Cowboys job, but these at least are out there. He has at least received permission from the Saints to go ahead and talk with these teams. So the Sean Payton rumor mill is heating up, and I don't know if there's going to be anybody else added to this list, but as of right now, those are the three teams that have talked to Sean Payton. So
you're saying you're thinking he's publicly making sure everyone knows who he's talking to by leaking this stuff in order to drive up his market value?
Believe it or not.
That would make a lot of sense. So I could see that. I could definitely see that. My question is, does he want to go back to Dallas? I mean, he kind of knows what he's got to deal with, right? I mean, it's just the reality of the situation. Jerry Jones is the owner. He's, probably not the easiest guy to work for, which he's well aware of. I wonder how that factors into the decision where even a guy like Mike McCarthy, who's won a Super Bowl, had a great win-loss record in his first year being there as head coach, there were questions about whether or not he was going to be the guy moving forward. I don't know. It seems like it makes a lot of sense because of the past. But was it where Sean Payton wants to go in the future? I think Sean Payton, after spending a year out in L.A., I think he's waiting on the Chargers. I think if the Chargers lose, and they've got to go all the way across the country to take on a Jacksonville Jaguars team that's got Trevor Lawrence playing as good as he's ever played, I think that if the Chargers lose, I would not be surprised if Sean Payton doesn't get looked at by the Chargers.
Agreed.
And that's not the job that he's maybe angling towards. Given the quarterback, given the pieces, guys like Joey Bosa, given everything they've got on that roster, that would be one that I think he might be looking at saying, kind of like living in L.A. Now I get the coach out here. Sean McVay's not stealing my thunder in the town anymore if he steps away from coaching the Rams. I don't know. It might be a decent little deal for him.
If you're a team on that list that has been given permission to interview Sean Payton, you do whatever it takes to get him. I think he's the one out of all the coaches that are out there on the coaches list that could actually really, really impact your team. And so if I'm Denver, if I'm Arizona, what were the other teams?
Cardinals,
Broncos,
and why am I blanking? Texans, the Houston Texans. Who I'm not even quite sure if the Texans are actually an NFL team at this point. But
if I'm any one of those three teams, I give him the whole house. Give him the keys. Like they say, give him the keys to the car. Yeah, give him the keys to the whole house. And see if you can do it, because any of those teams, I think, need it. Arizona, they need it. Denver, they need it. The Houston Texans, they definitely need it. I mean, he might have to come in and put an architect on that job where they have to rebuild and redo, the whole structure in itself. So I just think that when you're looking at failing situations, Arizona, I think, is intriguing. I think that's an intriguing job. And it's a matter of what Sean Payton is really looking for when he comes back. If it is indeed, I would love to be in the LA market, you're still banking on a job that isn't there. If you're a Dallas fan and want that Dallas situation, you're still banking on a job that isn't there yet. Unless there's some colluding going on that we don't know about.
Ooh.
But I don't know that Sean Payton would be so outgoing with establishing who's talking to him and who he's talking with. I think this is more of an idea of, okay, these aren't horrible situations outside of the Texans. And for what it's worth, I think you guys mentioned this in the show notes. The Texans are in a division that is a winnable division if they were to make some changes and to, right the ship in Houston. So that is a very nice market too. Houston is a very, very nice market to be in. And while it's not California, and I get that, but I just think that with the teams that are being mentioned, I think you got to weigh out what the opportunity is. And if I'm Sean Payton, if I am indeed waiting for a Chargers or a Cowboys opportunity, then why not ask for everything in the kitchen, like everything in the kitchen sink, if I'm going to look at any of these other franchises? Meaning, I don't care if they have a GM. If I want to replace the GM, I should have the autonomy to come in, replace the GM. If they don't have a GM, I should have the autonomy to come in and choose the GM.
Yeah,
I need to make sure that.
I think that's why he's being patient, though, right? Like he realizes he's the top candidate. Like we can all agree.
Yep.
Yeah,
he's the guy. Yep. If you're looking for a head coach, and there's already openings, everyone wants to talk to him. He's the top candidate. So I think we can all agree he doesn't have to, make a decision quick. He can be patient. He can wait till after things kind of settle themselves throughout the playoffs and then start to continue to take some of these interviews. But that's why, again, I kind of go back to you got the Cowboys who are favored going to Tampa Bay against Tom Brady and a team who whooped them week one.
They're going home.
And the Cowboys have had a hard time winning on the road in the playoffs. So
Cowboys going home.
Well, and so that it's going to be interesting, even though Jerry Jones will be going back against what he just said this week. But what happens if then Sean Payton's staring you dead in the eyes and as a potential, new head coach or next head coach? The same thing with the Chargers if they lose to Jacksonville. So I don't know that he's banking on it. I think he's just waiting to see what that landscape looks like before he takes that next opportunity.
It's kind of crazy that two of the prime jobs that could come available are playoff teams who, if they lose on the road in the first round, those jobs may actually open up. Like Brandon Staley, because I think there's a narrative surrounding Brandon Staley, just some of the questionable calls. Well, that maybe they should have been a playoff team last year and playing as starters, and Mike Williams getting banged up, even though he's probably going to give it a go. And then you've got obviously the Mike McCarthy situation. I just if he's waiting this thing out, and LaVar, you mentioned, look, if he wants to be able to pick the GM and all that and have some say in that, I mean, that's where Arizona, I think, makes a lot of sense. You've got your quarterback there. Steve Keim has stepped away for medical reasons, so there is that as well too. I mean, it's weird that we haven't heard Indianapolis mixed in yet. I don't know if he's gotten permission to talk with Indianapolis or if he even wants to. Maybe he doesn't want any part of the Jim Irsay experience, but it's just I look at it and I go, he's basically waiting around for two guys who already have jobs to possibly lose this weekend to see whether or not those are going to open up.
But again, like I said, I know Sean Payton, like you said, Q, I know he's waiting. But if I'm that franchise, I'm trying to get him in. I'm trying to get this done. I'm trying to entice the situation so we don't have to deal with the entire landscape developed. Offer something now that gets Sean Payton to want to do it versus waiting
before this weekend, before any of these other ones open up.
Absolutely.
So Houston, if you're Cal McNair, what are you offering Sean Payton to try?
Everything. Everything.
Part ownership.
I don't know about that, but everything that you could possibly offer, you should offer them. If I'm Houston, offer everything you can offer.
The crazy thing about it is, there's no salary cap implications for head coaches. And I don't know how you go about assessing the value that a head coach brings in the NFL. I guess you could, simply measure it by championships and winning percentage and all that. But these owners can pay a coach $20 million, $25 million if they want. If you gave Sean Payton the head coaching duties as well as the roster almost as a general manager ultimately, maybe not by title, but if that was his power to oversee the entire thing, what would stop him from paying him $25 million? I mean, you could do that essentially. There's nothing that stops you from doing it, but you got to be able to shell out the money and deal with that as an owner. And then the other issue is once you do that with one, every other owner in that, billionaire club, multi-millionaire clubs looking at you being like, you idiot, you're going to go ahead and pay this guy that? Now, guess what? All our coaches are going to come back and look for that huge raise when they win a Super Bowl or once they win all these games. So that's the tough part is none of these owners like setting a precedent. That's why everyone was ticked off at Jimmy Haslam for signing Deshaun Watson to a fully guaranteed deal. Steve Bisciotti in particular, who's still going at it with Lamar Jackson. And that would be, I think, the issue that you'd find is you can offer him the world, but if you do, then it's only going to come to a home near you for all these other owners with their coaches, especially if they have more success.